In 2025, Cinemark collected about $1.5 billion from movie tickets and $1.2 billion from concessions. So tickets were the bigger business, except they were not the bigger source of money left over. After film rental and advertising costs, the ticket side contributed roughly $668 million. After the direct cost of concession supplies, food and drinks contributed about $987 million. Before paying the people behind the counter, before rent, before electricity, before maintaining thousands of screens. The smaller revenue stream left almost 50% more gross dollars than the larger one. That is the real reason movie theater popcorn feels absurdly expensive. It is not priced like an ordinary snack. It is priced like the product helping an enormous building survive. But that creates an even stranger business model. The theater controls the popcorn. It does not control the movies that bring anyone close enough to buy it. So to understand why cinemas need your concession order, we need to follow one customer from the box office to the auditorium, and then remove the crowd entirely. From the customer's side, the business appears obvious. A studio makes a movie. A theater puts it on a giant screen. You pay for a ticket, choose a seat, and spend 2 hours inside. The ticket feels like the main transaction because it grants access to the thing you came to see. In 2025, Cinemark welcomed about 193 million guests. Its worldwide average ticket price was roughly $8. Average concession revenue was another $6.36 per guest. That does not mean every customer bought exactly $6.36 of food. Some bought nothing. Others bought a popcorn, 2 drinks, candy, and enough nacho cheese to require its own risk disclosure. The number is an average across everyone who entered, but it shows how important the second transaction has become. For every $8 Cinemark collected in ticket revenue per guest, it collected more than $6 from concessions. The two sales may happen within minutes of each other. Their economics are completely different. A movie theater does not buy a film once and keep every dollar from showing it. It licenses the film from a distributor. The financial terms vary by movie, studio, geography, and performance. A major blockbuster can carry more expensive terms than a smaller release. The percentages can also shift over a film's theatrical run. That makes claims like the studio always takes 90% in week 1 too simple to use as a rule. The annual accounts give us a cleaner view. In 2025, Cinemark generated about $1.545 billion in admissions revenue. Film rental and advertising costs were approximately $877 million, about 57% of admissions revenue. So from the average $8 ticket, roughly $4.54 went toward film rental and related advertising costs. That left around $3.46 before the theater paid for staff, leases, utilities, maintenance, corporate expenses, or interest. That $3.46 matters. Tickets are not irrelevant, but tickets carry a cost that rises directly with the success of the movie. When the box office becomes larger, the studio participates immediately. The theater creates the room, hires the staff, cools the auditorium, cleans the seats, and keeps the projector running. But it does not own the story on the screen. The customer arrives for someone else's product, and that is why the next purchase matters so much. Concessions reverse the economics. Cinemark generated about $1.227 billion from concessions in 2025. The supplies behind those sales cost about $241 million. That means the direct cost of the food, drinks, cups, bags, and related supplies consumed less than 20% of concession revenue. The remaining gross contribution was roughly $987 million before shared operating expenses. This distinction is important. It is not a 1,000% profit margin. Profit margin cannot exceed 100%. A product bought for $1 and sold for $10 has a 900% markup, but a 90% gross margin. And even that gross margin is not the theater's final profit. Someone still has to prepare the order. The building still needs staff, rent, insurance, cleaning, air conditioning, and working equipment. But compared with admissions, concessions give the theater far more room to absorb those costs. Using Cinemark's 2025 averages, Each guest generated about $5.11 in concession revenue after the direct cost of supplies. The ticket side generated about $3.46 after film rental and advertising costs. The film sells the visit. The concession stand makes the visit financially useful. This is why the lobby is not dead space between the entrance and the screen. It is a conversion funnel. The menu is positioned where the crowd naturally slows down. Combos reduce the effort of choosing. Mobile ordering removes the fear of missing the opening scene. Larger sizes make the next upgrade appear cheap compared with the price already being paid. And the products are unusually well suited to a cinema. Popcorn is inexpensive to produce, easy to prepare in volume, and strongly associated with movies. Fountain drinks are cheap at the ingredient level and highly scalable. Candy requires little preparation and has a long shelf life. The theater is selling convenience inside a controlled moment. You can refuse. Many people do. But the customer who values the full ritual, the giant screen, the dark room, the popcorn, the drink, and the shared event, subsidizes the customer who only buys a ticket. That is why the high price is not simply greed or random markup. It is part of a form of price separation. Instead of charging every customer a dramatically higher ticket price, the theater can collect more from guests willing to pay for convenience and experience. The person following a strict budget can buy admission and walk past the counter. The family turning the night into an event may spend more on snacks than on access to the movie itself. The same film reaches both customers. Their contribution to the theater is very different. Still, saying theaters make money only from popcorn creates another false picture. Modern cinemas also generate revenue from advertising, booking fees, premium large format screens, luxury seating, gaming, private rentals, memberships, alcohol, merchandise, and alternative content such as concerts or sporting events. Cinemark reported approximately $343 million in other revenue during 2025. Its movie club membership passed 1.45 million members and represented 30% of domestic admissions revenue. Premium formats can raise both the ticket price and the perceived value of leaving home. Dine-in theaters push the concession logic further by replacing a snack with a complete meal. Loyalty programs encourage repeat visits and make it easier to pre-sell the next trip. These streams matter because the traditional cinema model is under pressure, but none of them changes the central mechanism. A theater needs a compelling reason for people to enter a physical location. Once they arrive, it needs to earn more from that visit than the ticket alone is likely to provide. The screen creates demand. Everything surrounding the screen tries to monetize it, and that leads to the weakness buried inside the model. A theater can change its popcorn price. It can redesign the lobby, improve the seats, add a bar, launch a membership, or install a premium screen. It cannot manufacture a blockbuster. The most profitable part of the visit depends on foot traffic. Foot traffic depends heavily on a steady supply of films people consider worth leaving home to see. Yet that supply is controlled by studios, production schedules, creative talent, release strategies, and theatrical windows. The theater carries the fixed location. Someone else controls much of the product, creating demand for it. The 2023 Hollywood writers and actors strikes exposed this dependency without closing cinemas directly. Production stopped or slowed. Releases were delayed. The damage arrived later when the pipeline of new movies became thinner. In the second quarter of 2024, Cinemark attendance fell more than 22% from the same period 1 year earlier. Admissions revenue dropped about 24%. Concession revenue fell almost in parallel, about 22%. The popcorn did not become less profitable to make. There were simply fewer people standing near it. That is the fatal weakness. Concessions can improve the economics of attendance. They cannot create attendance by themselves, and when the crowd disappears, the costs do not disappear at the same speed. In 2025, Cinemark reported around $322 million in facility lease expense, $411 million in salaries and wages, and $485 million in utilities and other operating costs. Some expenses move with attendance. A quieter theater uses fewer concession supplies and may schedule fewer hourly workers, but the lease still exists. The building still occupies land. The projector still ages. The debt still charges interest. A 12-screen complex does not become a cheap asset because only 2 auditoriums are busy. That creates operating leverage. When attendance rises, the theater can spread its fixed costs across more customers. Each additional guest may buy a ticket, food, a premium upgrade, or a membership. When attendance falls, the same mechanism reverses. The theater loses the ticket contribution and the higher margin concession contribution at the same time, while much of the building remains in place. The pandemic was the most extreme version of this problem, but the structural danger continued after reopening. Cineworld, the owner of Regal, entered Chapter 11 and later emerged with reduced debt. Its UK operations still required another restructuring focused heavily on leases and rent terms. Court evidence described a significant number of its UK leases as over-rented, meaning the contractual rent exceeded the market rate. The court also connected its continued financial difficulty to the pandemic, lease liabilities, and the disruption caused by the writers' and actors' strikes. That is what financial fragility looks like in a cinema. The screen can be excellent. The popcorn can have a beautiful margin. The staff can operate efficiently. But if the film slate weakens for long enough, the building becomes a machine designed to serve customers who are not there. Now return to the simple question: what do 100 customers actually contribute? Using Cinemark's 2025 worldwide averages, 100 guests would generate about $800 in ticket revenue and $636 in concession revenue. Now apply the company's annual direct cost ratios. After film rental and advertising costs, the admission side would leave roughly $346. After concession supplies, the food and drink side would leave roughly $511. Together, that is approximately $857 before wages, rent, utilities, maintenance, corporate expenses, depreciation, and interest. This is an illustration, not the exact economics of every theater or every film. A premium blockbuster in New York and a weekday matinee in a smaller market will not behave identically. But the comparison shows why the concession counter matters. Without the food and drink contribution, those 100 customers leave only around $346 to support the rest of the operation. With concessions at the company average, that amount is closer to $857. The ticket gives the theater a customer. The second purchase helps turn that customer into a viable visit. This also explains why 2 equally busy theaters can produce completely different results. The stronger theater does not merely sell more tickets. It attracts customers who arrive early, buy concessions, choose premium screens, join the membership program, and return regularly. It schedules labor carefully. It controls waste. Its lease matches the earning power of the location. It has enough screens to offer variety without maintaining far more capacity than demand can support. The weaker theater may show the same movies and report similar attendance, but its guests spend less inside. Its building is too expensive. Its equipment requires investment. Its location depends on a small number of giant releases. When those releases fail, the economics deteriorate quickly. Visible busyness can hide that difference. A long line at the box office tells you that people want the movie. The line at the concession stand tells you far more about whether the theater wants that showing. So, does buying popcorn save the movie theater? Not by itself. The industry does not collapse because one customer skips a soda, and nobody should feel morally obligated to finance a multiplex through nachos. But at the level of the business model, the expensive snack is doing real work. Studios capture a large share of admissions revenue. Concessions produce much stronger direct margins. Advertising, memberships, premium formats, and other services add more layers. Then all of that money has to carry a costly physical operation whose demand can change with the next film slate. That is the central contradiction. Movie theaters have substantial control over the product that produces their best direct economics. They have far less control over the product that brings the customer through the door. So the cinema is not simply a popcorn shop that happens to show films. Without the film, the popcorn has no crowd. And it is not simply a room that sells tickets. Without the second purchase, the ticket may not leave enough behind. The screen creates the audience. The concession stand converts that audience into margin. And the entire business survives only when both sides of that transaction arrive at the same time.